Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I have taken time to watch the 21 minutes interview that Nation team did with Ngunyi, who until the time Uhuru Kenyatta was leaving office was Uhuru Kenyatta's technical advisor and a political strategist. And there is that which I have confirmed from that interview. I've also tried to make more calls and I can explain to you guys. That interview was very intentional. And just looking at following I have been in newsroom. I've worked in newsroom for 5 years. That interview was not 21 minutes. And if you ask my estimation is that that interview could have been 1 hour. In fact, that interview was 1 hour. It was edited for the 21 minutes because that is what was needed. That is what was convenient for the moment. I want to pick some 5 issues that he has spoken about and interpret these 5 issues as we look at how Uhuru Kenyatta has reacted to that interview. Ladies and gentlemen, Ngunyi is making these 5 aspersions. Number 1, that he confronted Uhuru Kenyatta against the plan to support Raila Odinga in Mount Kenya. And he continues to say that because he did not agree with it, he suffered and his accounts were frozen. Number 2, that the deep state punctured Wajakoya manifesto launch to coincide with that of UDA so that they can puncture UDA's manifesto launch. Number 3, that government, civil servants working in government, especially the deep state, did not own Raila Odinga's campaigns and presidential bid, and they could not deliver Raila's win. Number 3, he's also saying that the deep state was incompetent and Raila depended on the deep state, and that's why he did not win. That he also said that IBC, he also warned Raila Odinga that he needed to have a backroom team behind IBC because as IBC was constituted, it could not be. They could not grant Raila Odinga the win. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to consider this as very pedestrian because I dare ask, since election was done a year ago, a year ago we voted, since we voted it has taken a year. Has Ngunyi realized these things now? Number 2, who amongst you, and for those who are really members of the bold, supporters of the bold, these things, are they new things? Are they things we are hearing for the first time? What is new in that interview apart from the fact that Ngunyi has apologized to Uhuru Kenyatta, to William Ruto? What is new? I am looking at it and I'm like, these 5 things I said. In fact, if he is also admitting that he warned Raila about IBC, then it means that IBC, he's also accepting that IBC lifted William Ruto to presidency. And so, very pedestrian, it's a very casual statement. I'm not hearing anything technical or anything new, apart from simply a man who was on a mission, and he's saying that he's on a mission to sanitize himself from William Ruto. But that is also very casual. I want us to look at what Ngunyi is not saying in that interview. There's that which he's not mentioning, but just before that, allow me to take a minute and look at this photo here. This is a photo of Brian Orinda. This gentleman is the guy amongst that, the trending video of police beating some fellows. This is the guy who was beaten. And he was taken to Jaramogi Oginga, Russia, and was in ICU for 7 days and passed on. Now, the family reached out to me yesterday, and I had an exclusive interview there. I spoke with the mom. I'm going to share that audio towards the end of this podcast, even though he's speaking in the Luo, but wale wenye wataelewa. They're doing the burial on Friday, and they had a deficit. So what I've decided, having discussed to them that as the board, we want to raise for them 50,000 today, this Monday. So what I'm saying is this: help us support them. The 50,000, it was ideated for iwanunulie casket and probably the transport. Watoa mwili kutoka Kisumu hadi Kindu Bay. So as the board, we are coming in specifically for that. I need 50,000. Ikifika leo saa 6 usiku, we shall have raised 50,000 and sent to them. So send me whatever you have. My number is there, so that we can collect it and send it by tonight. We're not going to do 2 days fundraiser. It's just today. Send me what you have. Ile uko nayo 150. I think we can do 100 bob challenge, 200 or something, so that by midnight we shall also go live and collect what we can get, so that we support them. Wazuke mwili, at least wasahau. I'll share with you that audio towards the end of this podcast. Wale ambao wataelewa. The mother is speaking the Luo because she could not speak in Swahili. Ladies and gentlemen, there is that which Ngunyi is saying, and my interpretation of that message is this: this is the plan. It is not by coincidence that that interview is happening now. And the very plan I am seeing here, because listen to the way he is talking, he seems to be blaming Uhuru Kenyatta for supporting Raila Odinga. And he seems to say, I was forced into doing everything. Everyone knows that if you check his YouTube videos and Twitter, he supported Raila Odinga and he campaigned for Babaman. But now he's trying to withdraw that and say that everything seems to have been done at the mercies of Uhuru Kenyatta. And from what I am seeing, Mtaani Ngunyi defection is part of Ruto's continuation of planting anti-Uhuru Kenyatta venom in the country. Now, it is not about Uhuru Kenyatta venom in Mount Kenya, but if it is continuation of the tag Uhuru Kenyatta is a bad man to tell this country. So this is what is being said there. Everything is from that. If you listen to the tone of that interview, is that Uhuru was a bad man. Uhuru did this. Uhuru did that. Uhuru did that. That everything was, even the loss of Raila Odinga presidency, he seems to be blaming Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay, I know that is normally contagious because that is normally contested, because there are also people who still blame Uhuru Kenyatta. But me, my position has been very clear. For that interview, Uhuru meant well. Uhuru meant well. The problem was the circle. The second observation I'm making there, Mtaani Ngunyi is true a gun for hire, as himself he has admitted. And this time round, the perspective, the context that, remember it was this weekend and the talks are starting on Monday. It is not a coincidence. That interview was meant to float a concrete narrative that William Ruto won the election and we should not think about anything on the servers. Remember, this is an insider, because Mtaani Ngunyi was not a casual political analyst. He was at the center of it, and he has admitted in that interview that he was close to deep state. He spoke to Uhuru Kenyatta and spoke to Raila Odinga. When he was telling Raila Odinga about you need to activate your team. If William Ruto crosses the 50% mark, then this is gone. Then he is saying, what he's simply saying in that interview is that Ruto won fairly. That's what he's saying. While that is what he wants the public to consume. Because I've always tried to ask, sometimes when people speak, you say, what does he want the audience to take? What he wants the audience to take here is that Ruto won fairly. But you know, the contradiction in the whole thing is, he's also saying that he warned Raila Odinga that IBC could not deliver credible election. So what is it saying? That the issue about the server, because the talks are there because of legitimacy. Number 3, and this is the real thing, Ruto has recruited Mtaani Ngunyi so that he can bolster the hustler nation, re-engineer the hustler nation, because the issue about Ruto had been suffering, diminishing. His popularity has been diminishing in public. And what Mtaani Ngunyi is doing, and that is what he's not telling that reporter, is that he's been employed by William Samoei Ruto as probably in some technical advisory work so that he can bolster and re-engineer the new face of Hustler Nation. And from what I'm seeing, Ruto could still be planning to use the Hustler Nation as a rider planning for 2027. It's a gun that has been employed for 2027, and that is why you are seeing Mtaani Ngunyi crossing paths with Ahmed Nasser. It is nothing to do with Uhuru, with election, because 1 year later, what the hell do Kenyan voter want to hear with, who wants to hear of deep state did not work, IBC? Who wants to hear that? Because that is now water on the bridge. It is not going to help anything now, because Mtaani Ngunyi did not come to this country now. He's been in this country. I tend to think that sometimes, and this is what we've been insisting, even if someone is crossing over, so you just cross over. You know, it's easy, it's simple. You just cross over without creating conjectures around it. Uhuru reaction to this has been so appealing. And that is why I keep on insisting Uhuru is a good man. He has allowed this team to use his name for political clout. Use his name for cheap political excitement. And he has allowed them by making his silence. The silence in all this really reveals that the defection, I need to be very honest. By the time Mtaani Ngunyi defected, I was discussing just in some peer analysis, and I was telling some friend that, look here, I'm seeing a possibility that Mtaani Ngunyi is defecting because it's to prepare ground for grand defection of Uhuru Kenyatta to leave Raila Odinga as circle for William Ruto. But then, having watched that interview, I don't think that's it. People just waiting, looking for ways of survival. Uhuru Kenyatta's silence in reaction is a very important tool in this context, because these people seems to be looking for clout. Imagine if Uhuru will say something, he will actually give Mtaani Ngunyi fodder to start taking his clout. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. I still remind you about Brian Orinda. We are supporting that family with 50,000 as the bold. They have told me, I've spoken with the mother, the deficit is on the casket, and I think kubeba mwili kutoka Kisumu, I think hadi Kindo Bay. So send me whatever you can have. Your number is there. 150, what you have, we support them. I'll send this money tonight. So we shall also do another live session to top up what we shall have gotten, so that we can send anything that will be sent later. After it, will go directly to them. But I want us to help them 50,000. Hata mtu akinipatia hiyo 50,000, I close the fundraiser there. Because, yeah, I've always said, they reached out to me, and this is my interview with the mother.
Mama hiyo mama iwacho ni ng'anyo moro manokuo mane mar ariyo ni
mane otim for 3 days no koro kech nochako Wednesday, Thursday, kaso Friday mano goye koro koro kako teo osiptal to bedo in coma koro otieko 1 week kendi koro kete oxygen.
Oketo wantieno iko keto oxygen
ken coma oketo oxygen koro otieko 1 week agik Sunday To.
Agik sande to.
Koro tieko mana one week. Oko wuok to chiem to kunen. Koro kagi sande nute kakot.
Agoni mos makende wago mos maduong' ahinya. Nen wuodi maradi?
En chogo, en wuoda mar auchiel.
En wuodi mar auchiel. To notimo ang'o Kisumu?
Kisumu nyoto tiyo mane hotel.
Nyoto tiyo mane hotel, eh? Mos ahinya wachne to koro owacho ni useyudo kaka inyalo ang'o mowacho ni useyudo cha?
Kaka inyalo chul bil.
Mar osiptal. Ne nitie nyaka mar osiptal, eh?
Ne nitie nyaka mar osiptal gi mar michari. Koro pod rem dia gine beche ma winjo joga godala kaka dhi ome. Kaso gidiang' be pok oyudi kech ng'eni joluo to nyaka welo ama boyo nyaka ne chiem. Koro mago poni kanyo matindo go.
Koro nitie gima nowuok e telo maduong' lakini pod ok oromo.
Pod ok rom.
Okay.